Alright, today we are going to do some sprouting of some sunflower seeds. Basically the pea green, the sunflower, and the wheatgrass would basically all be used in the same way. So you can take what you learned from this sample to translate into any of those microgreens. Also buckwheat could be done the same way. So first off, the way I do it, and you can also use the jar method, which you can also watch a video on that. On how the jar method works, so you can start the seeds in the jar method. But I usually use, these are some 2-gallon buckets I got from a restaurant for free, and I drilled some 1/8-inch holes. See if you can see it with the light. Into the bottom, just got a lot of different holes in there, and you can use like about an 1/8-inch drill bit. Just punch a lot of holes. And then this is a solid that I didn't do anything to. So put those together, one with holes on top. And then this is a 16-ounce cup, and that's filled with some fresh black oil sunflower seeds, which you can get from Greenlight Grow. And you pour that inside. So now we got the seeds in the bucket. You'd probably be inside when you're doing this if you'd use your water from your faucet or your filter. Since we're outside, I brought some water. And you're going to fill your seeds up until they're covered, more than twice as much water as there are seeds. So in this case, we've got a good amount of water to cover the seeds and let them soak. I don't know if I should bring this in. So you've got a nice soak of seeds there. Alright, and after this stage, you're going to let that sit for approximately 10 to 12 hours, and it's not that big of a deal if it goes over or under. And after you soak that for 10 hours, you're going to drain the water. Discard. These are going to be nice and soaked. You're then going to, in your sink, and I'll show you how this works inside, grab your little water squirter from your sink and just rinse it really well, run it, whip it around, rinse it until it's nice and drained. And then set it back in your container to keep water from getting on your countertop. Set that aside. Go ahead and rinse it 2-3 times a day. Every time you rinse it, go ahead and put it over your sink and just rinse it really well, let it drain, put it back in your container to catch any drips. Alright, so you're going to keep on rinsing, morning, night, maybe in the middle of the day if you're home. Maybe cover this up with a towel or something just to drape over so you don't get like flies or something in there if you have that problem. Like I said, do that for a few days. After a couple days, you're going to get to this stage here. You got tails coming out of all of the seeds, and they're all pretty similar in length. So let me just get a couple in there. So you can see there how the tails are coming out of the seeds. That's what you want, about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch tail. And you want to make sure the seeds are even, like you don't have, if I had a problem here, I would notice that half of these seeds weren't germinating, and I'm not going to have that great of luck on the final stage. Alright, once you get to that point, you get yourself your tray here with holes. And you're going to use about the same amount of soil as you did seed. So, once again, you're going to use about that 16-ounce cup. And here we're using some organic starting soil, which is nice and light. It's not too rocky or anything, so it gives the roots good ground to get the roots started without any difficulty. I'm going to pour that into the tray. Break up any of the clods, just with your hand, just going to go through. And I kind of just do an even spread with the hand, a little bit of a shake, and maybe just a little more soil. You want to just get an even cover, you don't need more than a 1/4 inch of soil. Get that in there. So then you just start spreading your seeds evenly across the soil. And that amount of seeds should be just about right if you start with about 14 ounces of seed, volume-wise, not weight-wise. So you give it a nice nice even sprinkle. Like I said, these are sunflower seeds, and pea grains work the same exact way. Wheatgrass basically the same exact way, and buckwheat. Buckwheat does take a few days longer to germinate, so that might take 3 days or so. So that's what you want your seeds to look like. It's evenly spaced. There's barely any space between, but it's nice and full with just enough space in between, so it's not like setting on top of each other, so it's not like a double stack or anything. If you get too much, you get way too many grains and they don't open up, and once again, you're not getting as much out of it as you could. So that's what you want it to look like. Alright, so after you get your seeds spread evenly, you can go ahead and grab a solid tray. This one here has no holes, and set this one on within it. And this is where you're going to kind of keep and water from this stage. You're going to use, though, more than likely your little spray nozzle from your sink, and I'll show you how that works. We'll go inside. So this is the device you would use to water, basically to make it easy on your sink. Keep that on the side. I've got some tall ones back here. This is the fresh ones now. Just give a nice little watering. There you go. After you give it nice water, put the one with holes right over top. Call it good. Do that a couple times a day. As they grow, after you get to this stage here, you will just water same way, just that way. Same with the bigger ones, just kind of get it underwater, and that's basically the situation. Once again, you'll pull this one off once you get to this stage. That stage you'll just water a couple times a day until it gets to this stage, and at that stage you just start chopping it away. Okay, so as I showed you inside how to use your watering system in there, you kind of keep it underneath. Here's another tray with holes. I like to put that on top as it's growing for the first few days, just to get everything to germinate at the same rate once again. It holds heat in and also holds the moisture in for the first few days. And it also puts a little weight over the top so they don't just sporadically start coming up. You'll notice if you don't use this, you'll get seeds germinating at different rates. This kind of just, that pressure kind of helps everything even out. And this is what you're going to want it to look like before you take that off. As you can see, they're all starting to have an even come up. Their necks are starting to roll over. They're starting to open up. And at that point, you can go ahead and take this top layer off. And what I like to do then is go ahead, because you really don't want water to be sitting in here as you're going. So if you do notice puddles of water, go ahead and empty that out in your sink each day as you're watering. And then you can go ahead and put some rocks over the bottom, or as a riser, just put some pebbles, sticks, whatever you may have, and that helps elevate it so the roots don't get covered in water. And then once you do that, you kind of just give it a little rinse every day, morning and night. Got your cover off, and you'll slowly start to get a lot of growth. It takes about 3 or 4 days from this stage, and you'll start getting greens to eat from. So after about 5 days after you take that top off, and you water it a couple times a day, this is what you're going to get. You see a nice, even, full tray of greens there. And these are the seeds that I'm selling here on Greenlight Grow. That's the other thing. I'll just ensure my quality because I use them all the time. So you'll know that the germination quality is going to be high. So, and that's kind of what you're wanting to end up with, nice, even, full organic sunflower greens. Let me show you the risers, how that works. You notice how all these roots are coming through the bottom. And then I've got these rocks on my bottom tray that just kind of keeps it off so that little bit of water doesn't drown them and make the roots rot, and just gives you a little more control when you're watering and all those things, so you kind of have a little more success. These are just some little things that you can do to keep things happy. And then you kind of start eating them. Put them on a salad, sandwich, wrap, by themselves, anything you can think of. Sunflowers are one of my favorite greens. They have a great flavor. You can taste the nut. They got that green, a little bit of greenness to it. They're really good, high in protein, EFAs, carbohydrates. They're a very sustaining food. Great in the wintertime, especially in areas where there's not, anything fresh around. It's an easy way and cheap way to get a lot of enzymes and nutrition into your diet. I highly recommend the sunflower. Go ahead and play around with the pea greens. They also grow big. You get a tray very similar to this. Wheatgrass if you like to juice. Buckwheat is another great one. All these seeds you can find on Greenlight Grow. And these trays, soil, you can get also on Greenlight Grow or at your local hardware store, growing store. You can find very similar mediums to do all this in. Yeah, and stay tuned for a lot more information on sprouting. I would also check out the sprouting in a mason jar, and that'll have some good information that will also help you if you had questions on if you don't have these buckets with holes and you want to use the mason jar to start your seeds before you spread them on your soil. That'll be information on how to do that. So thank you for joining us, and happy sprouting. Cheers.